Welcome to the WTF podcast. My name is Molly Smith, and I am on a mission to equip 1 million people with the tools to recognize when they're in the funk and, more importantly, how to pivot out of it. By joining us today, you are on this mission with us, and I'm so glad that you are here. Friends, there are seasons in life that quietly pull us inward. Days start to blur, our world gets smaller, and we start to wonder if things will ever feel the same again. Missi Hackman knows that kind of season all too well. Hers began with an accident that changed everything. What followed was a stretch of years marked by stillness, reflection, and the slow rebuilding of what it means to feel like yourself again. What I love about her story, and you will too, is that her first step out of the funk wasn't at all what you would expect. You're not gonna believe it when you hear it. It started with something small that opened the door to a completely new chapter. If you've ever found yourself stuck in a space between who you were and who you're becoming, this conversation will remind you that even in the quietest of seasons, momentum is still possible. Please join me in welcoming Missi Hackman to the WTF podcast. Thanks for being here, Missi.
Absolutely. I'm so excited.
Yay. Okay. So
But
tell us, tell us about the story, because I mentioned in the intro there was an accident. So share with us what happened and when that happened.
okay. It was in 2010 in October. So it's just now been, was that 15 years? Just
Yeah.
this month, 15 years. I was at a cousin's wedding and thought it was just a normal, fun weekend. Went on an ATV ride with my nephew on my lap and took a crash. My life changed immediately. That moment that I don't remember, of course, the crash. I remember seeing bolts inside the helicopter and thinking, what is happening? What is going on? I couldn't find
Bolts?
words.
Like you were looking at the
I
ceiling
was
of the
looking at the
helicopter?
ceiling, and that's all I can I still like, and that came back later.
Yeah.
I saw the bolts moving, like, you could see them, like, the vibration probably,
Sure.
but I wasn't able to use my voice. Nothing was coming out, even though I was thinking, "What is happening?" And so it was pretty traumatic to change my life. I thought I was on a trajectory of working in the job I've had and for the field I was in for 20 years, had plans with my husband, and in a snap of a finger, it was just gone.
Oh
So
my goodness.
it changed everything. I spent some time in the hospital. I took a little that helicopter ride that wasn't expecting and scared my family, probably life off of their life, years off their life.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you share a little bit about your injuries?
Yes, it was a brain injury. I had a traumatic brain injury. And I also had a chest injury where I was protecting my nephew, and I think his head slammed into my chest. And so I had some erratic heart areas for a while. But my head injury was really what became the life-changing event. It was I could not be out in public. Any kind of stimulation was too much. I couldn't be around people, and I was a people person. I had coached my daughter's dance team. I was on several committees. I wasn't home very often, and all of a sudden, I was at home every single day, unable to drive. My dad became my driver, and so I was joked that he was driving Miss Daisy around because so, if you think about what you lose, like, I could not go and get a gallon of milk without somebody doing it for me and that was honestly before the days of Uber.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Ride share and all of that. Sure.
no ride shares going on at
So,
that
so did you go through rehab and all of
time.
that as well? Okay.
I rehab and occupational therapy and visual therapy was a lot of it because a lot of it affected my vision and how I could perceive things. It wasn't so much like a lot of people think that I had like the peripheral vision, but it wasn't. It's called transversion. And when it comes, something's coming at you, you can't tell where it's at. And that's why I couldn't drive. I could not tell how far a car was or next to me and so I had to do a lot of vision therapy to try to bring that back. So
I didn't even know that there was such thing as vision therapy, but you're talking about it and it makes sense, but I've never heard of
yeah,
that before.
yeah.
So
Unfortunately,
because
insurance don't cover it.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, of
another little
course.
FYI, insurances don't wanna cover that.
Well, I would imagine they wouldn't. Okay, so you couldn't see, in that kind of way, so you couldn't drive. So
Insurance.
you were homebound,
I
yes?
was. Yes. I
Homebound.
used to I would we would go to sporting events and plays, anything with any kind of lighting I couldn't do. I had a chair at my house. I was very comfortable. I knew how many steps, just so if I got dizzy and I didn't fall, but it was just a comfort. And if ever I was at something, or even if a lot of people were at my house, I kind of stayed in my chair area
Yes.
that I was
Okay.
comfortable.
So going from active in the community, active with your kids, always on the go, to the comfort of the chair because it
Yes,
was familiar and safe and stable for
yes,
you.
it was.
How long was that season?
So what opened up a door a little bit for me was my daughter had a baby in 2017, and I felt like, "Okay, he's a baby, I can watch him a couple days a week, he's gonna sleep, I can rest when he is." So I started watching him,
Okay.
and then COVID hit, of course,
Yeah.
after a little while, and so I didn't have him as often, but so and then when I did have him, he grew up and he went to kindergarten.
Well, they do that.
You grow up and they feed you, and I mean,
Yeah.
kindergarten, 18, whatever age, they move on. But so I did go through a time when he went to kindergarten, and I had even those couple days where I knew I had something on my schedule, something to do, and a reason to get up and
Yes.
get motivated.
Yes. Okay, but
Well,
but before that, you've got 7 years
yes,
of being homebound,
yes,
being Miss Daisy, right?
yes.
God bless
Yep.
your dad. Where is your mindset in this season?
I felt very worthless. I felt like, what is the I never got so depressed that I thought of changing anything in my life other than, I was never suicidal or anything. I
Sure.
was depressed. I did go
Yes.
to a large season, and I did see a counselor, a psychological,
Mhm.
a brain injury specialist that does, like, psychologists, but he specializes in brain.
Yes.
So, I did do that, but I felt like I had nothing to talk about with anybody. When even if I was a little group, I didn't do anything. So, I didn't have, like,
Just the life
"Hey,
experience.
tell me, did you have you seen this
Yes.
movie lately? Have you
Yes.
been out to this restaurant?" I didn't go to
Yeah.
restaurants very much because I couldn't tell where the people were at coming at me, and it was too much. So, all the things people just talk to in social situations,
You didn't have
I
any of
didn't
it.
I could be a part of it. I
Mm.
felt like, "Okay, so what is the worth of this?" And thought, "This is what my life is. This is what it's gonna be," and, um, thankfully, I have a good family that I have, grown kids and a husband who called every single day on his way home from work, "Do you need anything?" He's
Oh,
still done that even though I can
yeah.
now I'm driving, but he
Yeah.
still calls every day, "Do you need anything?"
I love that.
Well, luckily, I had that, but that was my worth. I felt like I couldn't there was days that I didn't do anything but walk from my bed to a chair and maybe threw on sweats.
Yeah.
There's no sense.
Yeah.
Things that I used to buy, I didn't buy anymore because I didn't need it. I didn't need makeup anymore. I didn't need hair products, all the
Yeah.
things, didn't need a lot of clothes. It just was
That's a real identity crisis. I mean, you think about, like, how you showed up in the world just
yes,
so dramatically changed.
yes.
And then for such a season, I mean, such a long season of that. Okay, so you start watching your grandson, and that gives you a little bit more purpose.
Yeah, it made me happy whether I got to talk to anybody else about it or not, and they probably all got tired. Anybody I did talk to, like, does she do anything but talk about her grandson? I mean, new grandma, that's normal. But
Totally.
that but so I did never feel bad about it. But
Yeah.
but yeah, he did grow up and he didn't when we hit COVID, that was another life-changing moment as well.
Tell me about
I
that.
I was content during COVID. I had already been home. I wasn't worried about things
Yes.
closing or,
Yes.
the normal worries of is there groceries or whatever, but I did not think about I can't go out when I wanna go out or do different things or that this is closed and it's not open anymore. I can't go to this show. I can't go to this restaurant. Did not matter to me because I'd been home. The thing that did change is my husband was home for 3 months.
Okay, so COVID, old hat for
So
you.
changed
It's just
it was
every day.
normal
Yes.
life. It did
Yes.
not. When that changed, I mean, it really didn't. But after that, and life started going back,
Mhm.
that was when I took another step. That was where things really did change because
Okay.
wasn't watching my grandson anymore. So this is now I have this time, and a friend of mine asked me if I would go to this craft place with her, and I did crafts at home. I made stuff. I was always my mom. I grew up crafty type stuff. So I was like, go to a place and do it. Like, and she's like, it's not busy. It's a small place. It will be you. It's something you can handle. So I said, sure. That moment was my life changing moment,
I love
which
this.
is not is not something that, but like you said in the intro, people usually have some big thing that sparks them and they're like, "This is my life change." It was going to a 3-hour class and painting on some wood and thinking, "Oh, this is fun. Maybe I could do this a couple days." And let me by this, I should back up a bit. I did start driving right after COVID. I
Okay.
had done Asian therapy. I decided to try. I drove places near my house, and I still don't go real far. I go on the highway a whole lot, but I can go areas that I know and that
That's
I'm
great.
comfortable. Yes, so
Yeah.
I have done that. So I knew I could do this job because it wasn't very far. It was a straight shot, and I could plan it around busy times or not busy times on the road.
Love it.
So I ended up asking the owner if she needed any help, which at that moment she actually didn't. She called me about a month later. So I started working there and did about one shift a week, just enough to get out of the house, to have conversation, to see people, to meet new people. So, and people that enjoyed doing things that I enjoyed doing. So
Yeah.
people were customers that came in that I would look forward to seeing. So,
Well, I wanna pause there. I don't
oh,
wanna give it away. 'Cause
okay,
okay, so I just wanna call out her pivot out of the funk, you guys, is a friend invited her to go to a studio where they do, like, painting
yes,
on wood.
being
And
open to experiences.
yes, just one invite. Okay, so when you started working at this place, how did that shift your mindset or your outlook? I'm real curious about that because now you're in the community, you're doing something that you like doing with people that are fun to be around. So what did that do for you?
It gave me a spark to wake up every day and to do some I felt excited to see my schedule, to see when I was gonna be going. I thought ahead of it. I looked through their internet, like, on the projects that were available there, so it just made me excited for something other than daytime TV. That had been my life, daytime TV.
How long were you working there? How long were
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 months,
Okay.
3 months, and the owner called a meeting, and at the meeting announced that she was selling the studio. So I was heartbroken at that moment. I sat there thinking, oh, great. I don't want this to close. I don't want
Oh,
somebody to buy it and change everything. And so I sat in that for a short time and a couple of weeks probably. I sat in it and thought, what am I going to do with this? I decided to buy the studio, and that has changed everything. So it was crazy and not something I ever saw on my radar. Never had thought about owning a business. I asked my daughter if she wanted to do it with me. She had been laid off during COVID and had not gone back to a full-time job at that point,
yeah.
so we just decided to jump on it. And
Oh,
it took less than let's see, we decided that probably in September, October, maybe it was October, and we bought it opened up in December. Our first studio or our first workshop was in December. So it all happened very fast.
very quickly. And then how long have you guys been open?
It'll be 3 years in December. Yeah. Yes. So opening a business became our and she and I are so very different as much as we're alike. We're so different that we have different skills that we are good at. And that's been a key because I'm able to do a lot of things at home where when I'm tired, I can stop if I need some downtime. That's the thing that still really gets to me is when I'm too
Mm,
tired. I have about 20 hours in a week of bending my brain cells is really what it comes down to.
sure.
And well, if I do more than that, it starts to come through. So I still get to be there. I get to teach classes. The amount of people that I have met through this 3 years that I would now call friends who think about us, who know our story, that know our family. I know theirs. I know what drink they're gonna order. It's just they walk in and it's like old friends hanging out is really what our studio
Oh,
is like.
I just I love this. Okay, let me just recap here. Guys, 2010, horrible ATV accident, 7 years of literally watching daytime TV from the same chair.
Yes.
Watched as her grandson for a few years, and that friend, that messenger from the creator invited you to go paint on wood, and
Yes.
that opened up an entirely new chapter of your life.
Yes.
That is amazing. Okay, so I'm so excited. This is such a beautiful story. This is such a beautiful story. And oh, by the way, if I'm in Denver, I'm gonna come to a party to
Right.
hang out with you because it sounds like
Exactly.
so much fun.
Such great.
I
It is.
love it. I love it. So if there's a listener that finds themselves really stuck in a rut, like a years long rut, what piece of advice or what's one thing that they could do to just take a single step to shift that trajectory? What would you tell them?
My answer is always to be open to new experiences and new invitations. You never know what that's going to lead to.
Yes.
So, it could be something that you don't know from that person's invitation. You might meet somebody else there. It may be something that sounds terrible to you, but you don't know who you're going to be sitting next to. If it's at a
That's
dinner that sound, piece of old chicken, who cares? You don't want to eat that. It's boring, and the speaker is going to be something you don't care about. But that person who's sitting next to you might need to hear something that you have to say.
right.
Just hi or how's your day? So that is the key is being open and avoiding isolation. There's probably so many things I could have done differently, but I didn't know how to reach out and do those things. I didn't
Yeah.
know where to go because I also felt like I'm not somebody who has an injury that people can see. So
Right.
people don't understand when you go out and if you say, I'm looking at them and they are like, I'm talking to you, but I might have spaced over or something. They don't understand that. That was one of my things with my psychologist that I talked a lot about was I don't have a cane. I'm not blind. People can't see it, but there's injuries other places. And he did help me to realize that. And faith is huge through it all. I mean, if you don't have faith through it, forget it.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely agree with you there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's huge, and so I do think back of, like, if I had had somebody to say these things, be open to something, listen, let somebody if somebody even says, "Hey, I've got somebody I want you to meet, can I bring them by?" Or, "I'm coming over for coffee and I've got a friend with me." Okay, yeah, bring
Great.
that. Just don't
Yeah.
know.
Yes. I love that. And I do believe there's an epidemic of isolation in our
Yes,
society today.
there is.
Oh my goodness. And
I hear
so,
so people like, "I don't wanna leave once I get home from work," or, "I don't wanna leave, um,
yes.
do I
Yes.
have to do that?" It's just another thing. Yes, you do have to do that. You do have to
Yes.
have relationships, and it does change your daily outlook every
Oh,
day. Isolation.
absolutely. Yeah. We were not meant to do this life
No.
without others.
Uh,
I love
yeah.
it. Oh my goodness. Missy, thank you so much for sharing your story. And hey, if you are listening and you know somebody who's been in a years long funk, please forward this episode to them. What is beautiful about Missy's story is that her pivot was so simple. Somebody invited her, and you never know if you know somebody who's in a funk for a long time, you have no idea. Forwarding this particular episode to them might give them some awareness of something that they can do to pivot out of the funk and change their story. Missy, thank you so much for being here. You guys, we will see you next time.
Thanks